Sleeping Beauty. Long ago, in a peaceful kingdom surrounded by sparkling rivers and towering mountains, a king and queen lived with hopeful hearts. For many years, they wished for a child to love. One bright spring morning, their wish came true. A baby girl was born. She had soft golden hair and eyes the color of morning skies. The entire kingdom rejoiced, for this child brought new joy and promise to all. This is the story of how she grew, how darkness touched her life, and how courage, patience, and hope helped her find her way back into the light. When the princess was born, the king and queen hosted a grand celebration. The palace sparkled with music and laughter. People filled the halls with gifts, weaving flowers into garlands and offering blessings for the child's future. Among the guests were wise fairies, gentle beings who came to bestow magical gifts. Each fairy stepped forward, offering blessings of beauty, grace, and kindness. The baby slept quietly, wrapped in soft silk, unaware of the wonders being promised to her. One fairy stepped forward to offer her gift, but before she could, a sudden cold wind blew through the hall. A shadowy figure appeared, an old fairy who had not been invited. Her face was sharp as frozen ice, and her cloak flowed like dark smoke. She felt insulted by the king and queen's forgetfulness. In her bitterness, she declared that when the princess turned 16, she would prick her finger on a spinning wheel and fall into a sleep from which she would never awaken. Then, like a storm cloud, she disappeared. The hall fell silent. Guests trembled, and the king and queen wept. But one fairy still had her gift to give. She could not erase the curse, but she could soften it. Instead of death, she promised that the princess would fall into a deep sleep, only to awaken again by a pure and heartfelt act of love. The king ordered all spinning wheels destroyed and all sharp spindles locked away. The princess, named Aurora, grew under careful protection. Still, she was never without kindness or joy. Princess Aurora grew into a gentle and curious child. She loved exploring gardens, brushing her fingers across petals heavy with dew. Birds followed her, drawn to her soft humming. She spent afternoons watching fish glide across clear ponds and evenings listening to stories beside the warm glow of the fire. Although she lived safely within palace walls, Aurora sensed she was meant to explore the world. She was drawn to the forest, where sunlight dripped between branches and tiny animals peeked from behind trees. Though she did not know it, the good fairies often watched over her, keeping her safe. As the years passed, Aurora became wise beyond her age. She treated everyone with kindness, from royal guests to humble gardeners, trusting that goodness was always worth showing. Years passed like quiet dreams. Soon, Aurora's 16th birthday approached. The kingdom buzzed with excitement. The king and queen tried to calm their hearts. They remembered the curse, but the princess's years had been peaceful. No spinning wheels remained in the realm, and Aurora had lived safe and loved. On the morning of her birthday, Aurora rose early. Sunlight crept across her room, warming her face. She felt a strange pull, as though something called her from beyond the familiar halls. She wandered through the castle and found a narrow stairway she had never noticed before. It spiraled upward into a hidden room. Inside, an old spinning wheel stood, gleaming dimly. A quiet hum filled the air, soft and inviting. Aurora felt herself reach toward the spindle. Her finger touched it, and in an instant, she fell into a deep, silent sleep. Across the kingdom, people stopped where they stood and felt a wave of stillness. The good fairy who had altered the curse returned to protect everyone. She cast a spell that put the entire castle to sleep, so Aurora would not be alone. As the spell settled, vines, thorns, and blooming roses grew around the walls, lifting high and thick, shielding the castle from wandering eyes. The world outside continued onward, but the castle remained hidden under its blanket of magical time. Years drifted like falling petals. The castle lay protected, its halls quiet as winter. Vines wrapped the towers while flowers bloomed at every window. Birds built nests among the roses, deer wandered the outer forests. Tales spread across distant lands of a sleeping princess concealed behind thorny walls. Many tried to find her, but the brambles were fierce, and only those with pure intent could pass unharmed. Most turned back, uncertain if the legend was true. Yet, within the castle, time remained still. Aurora slept peacefully, her expression as calm as spring water. The good fairies visited often to tend the spell and ensure she was never lonely. They brushed away dust, sang melodies to keep the air gentle, and watched over every soul sleeping within the walls. The kingdom outside changed. Seasons blossomed and faded, children grew, winds carried stories near and far. One day, a young prince traveling through the land heard tales of the sleeping princess. He was known for his bravery and his gentle heart. His curiosity guided him toward the forest of thorns. When he reached the wall of vines, he found pathways opening to allow him through. Birds fluttered ahead, guiding him forward. The forest welcomed him, sensing his kindness. Inside the castle, everything lay quiet. Dust sparkled in soft beams of sunlight. The prince moved through the silent halls, past sleeping cooks, dozing guards, and gentle animals curled beside stairways. He followed his heart until he reached a quiet chamber where Aurora rested. The sight of her stirred something in him, not admiration for her beauty alone, but a deep understanding that her life held a story unfinished. He took her hand gently. Love warmed his heart, free of force or demand. The spell recognized his sincerity. At that moment, Aurora opened her eyes. The magic that had bound the castle lifted. The sleeping kingdom awoke, the gardeners stretched, the cooks stirred, the guards blinked. Birds burst into song. The vines that guarded the gates eased away, revealing the castle once more to the world. Aurora blinked at the prince, unsure of where she was or how much time had passed. She thanked him with a warm, quiet smile. Though they had spoken hardly at all, a gentle bond formed between them, shaped by gratitude, understanding, and hope. The king and queen, awoken from their long enchantment, embraced their daughter with tears of joy. The castle filled with music once again. Feasts were prepared, and stories were shared of years spent in magical slumber. Aurora learned all that had happened, the curse, the protection of the good fairies, the growth of the forest around them. She thanked the fairies for their love. Without their strength, she would have faced her fate alone. The prince remained a guest and soon became a dear companion to Aurora. They walked the gardens, spoke of dreams, and learned from one another. Their friendship blossomed softly. Aurora's heart felt hopeful, not because a story demanded it, but because she chose to welcome the future with courage. Aurora looked upon the vines that once guarded the castle. Roses, bright and fragrant, bloomed freely. She knew they were reminders of her journey, that even the sharpest thorn could hold beauty. The kingdom, once silent for years, pulsed with new life. People laughed, worked, and celebrated each day. They had all shared the long sleep, and together they now embraced the gift of time returned. Aurora's story became a symbol of resilience. Children grew up hearing that patience, love, and hope could awaken even the darkest dreams. And so, Aurora stepped into her future, guided by wisdom, surrounded by love, and strengthened by kindness. And the kingdom lived in peace, with hearts open to joy. Aurora's journey teaches us that even when darkness touches our lives, love, patience, and hope can guide us back. We learn that true love is not rushed or forced, but grows from understanding, friendship, and kindness. Even in the deepest sleep of fear or sadness, love and hope can awaken the brightest future. Patience, courage, and kindness protect us through every unknown.